Welcome to the AccendoTraders Group. This is our video trade plan for Wednesday, April 23rd, 2008. AccendoTraders.com, effective trade plans delivered daily. And we're going to go ahead and show you guys, especially our new folks, here's our routine that we go through each day to come up with our trade plan to make sure that we're in stocks or out of stocks that have news or economic data. And as always, we want to make sure we have life. So if you're new, go ahead and pause it here and write this down. But we're ready just to go ahead and get on into it. So today, well, remember what we talked about yesterday with the market, but let's go ahead and show you some of the stuff we had. But we talked about yesterday, especially with the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq, that we were at a resistance level, and it wouldn't be that shocking tomorrow for us to head down. And we had the earnings to make that come to be. So first, on our economic data side, we had the March existing home sales come in low, but not as low as expected. But more importantly, crude is just setting higher highs. It's just, it's impressive. Not happy about it, but it's impressive. So you can see what the markets did as they were up or down. Well, everybody was down. But then on our earnings front, we had Texas Instrument missed earnings. We had, and also Novelis yesterday. So that really sent the Nasdaq down, and then we had UNH Healthcare. They fell short. CME, they really came close. So it's one of those things. I mean, they missed by like 1%, and they kind of sold off. The airlines, they reported really bad earnings, and then on the positive side, we had McDonald's and Coach. And then, as you can see, we had First Solar upgraded, downgraded. That's interesting. Apple was downgraded today. I was trying to figure out why Apple was down. I think that's why. And then we had WFT and Baidu and MDM had their targets raised. Tomorrow, all we have is weekly crude inventories. We've got some earnings before the market open. But we're looking at after hours, where we've got Apple after the close. So that should be interesting. Hopefully, if you're a bull, it will be like IBM and Google last week, but we'll see. And we also have a new split play, WFT, and we'll talk more about that in our new stock section. Okay, so as we look at our flag stocks from last night, the one thing that's important, again, I've said it, and you'll hear me say it again, we talked about with the Nasdaq that we have not really cleared the resistance we want to. This is a consolidation we've been all year. We haven't cleared it. We got close to it, close to that previous uptrend line, and we fell back. Same thing with SPX. We talked about this key pivot area where all these things were happening, and here we are falling back. I'm not saying we're going all the way back down, but I think it's important, again, to note that some people might have got caught all giddy, here, and we're not getting that confirmation. The other thing to talk about is certainly after these big moves, we need to have testing days to test whether or not the buyers are still there behind this move. And and so certainly we had that yesterday. Today, I think it's a little bit more impactful than a testing day. I mean, we've got a day down. This wasn't just a testing day, a little doji indecision. This was a push down. Certainly the rising three still up there on the down, still up here on the S&P 500. We still have it. It's shady, but it's there. And the Nasdaq, we didn't really have a rising three because we had such a huge gap up. So I just want to be clear in talking about where we are, what we're seeing. So, and also for our YouTube folks, take a look over here. You can see what we unflagged and what we kept because of our time structure. And I really, our educational portion is a little bit longer today, talking about risk. Apple unflagged because earnings tomorrow after the close. The casinos pretty much unflagged them because of their upgrade. Not an upgrade today, but Macau's not giving out any more casinos, and so that was good for casinos. Our bear stocks obviously look good. ATI looks nice. Sears Holding kind of came through for us. CNX is just a sideways mess, but we'll see. And obviously, I like APA and CLF because remember, these are great trending stocks that are consolidating, and we need to catch that next move higher. And WFT is a new 2-for-1 split play that's consolidating, which is good. We might have an aggressive entry. We'll see. We'll talk more about that. Download the iPod version to get that. WLT consolidating. You can see we got a nice ascending wedge going on here. So we need to break out one way or the other. And X starting to show some weakness. I'm going to give it one last day, but it's definitely showing some weakness. So here's our list. The market is testing. The bears are ready to jump in if the earnings don't come through. So we got key earnings tomorrow. Apple, Yahoo did beat earnings after the close today. So let's move on to our educational portion of the podcast. Okay, so now we're ready to begin our educational portion of the podcast, and we are back. We're back to Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. The Shift to Mental Analysis is the section that we're on in the book, and we spent the last couple of days talking about a trade plan in a very general sense and giving you some questions that you can ask yourself to try to help define where you are, where you want to be, and how will you get there as a trader. Some very general questions. Those people who missed it, as you know, I always talk about trade plans, and so you might want to check out that podcast from the Weekend Rapid Report and yesterday to give you some help with, in general sense, forming that. We're going to go more into that in depth in that later. But let's get back to where we were Friday with talking about the fundamental paradox of what we as traders had to confront. We had to accept the fact that, you know what, I may be wrong on the trade. And not only do we have to accept the fact that we have to may be wrong in that trade, if we're wrong, there's a possibility that we may lose money. So that is a fundamental paradox, according to Mark Douglas, that how do we stay focused and disciplined in the face of constant uncertainty? Those of us who have been trading in 2008 know the market is up and down. We've been in a nice consolidation pattern. The Dow broke out, the Nasdaq and the S&P haven't, and we were at a resistance, so it made sense that today we went down. So the point is, how do we remain faithful and focused? And my answer to that is a trade plan, a system. If we develop that system, we can let the system work for us and not let our emotions work for us. So I always come back to that trade plan. When you have learned to think like a trader, you have learned the most important skill as a trader. I can remember when I was first starting out, and there was a bunch of us who were trading the QQQ, and we formed this group, and we were all ecstatic and woohoo! We were just real excited about trading, and then we formed a group, and there was a lovely lady named JJ. I heard her hook handle was Jazzy Trader, and here she was trying to tell us, you guys need to make a trade plan. And we're like, yeah, we would need to make a trade plan, but how do we make money? And she was like, no, I'm going to tell you how to make a trade plan. Yeah, all right, woohoo! But how do I make money? And she's like, I'm trying to tell you guys how to be, how to make money in this market. And here, as a new trader, you're exciting and you want to make money, and here's someone trying to say, slow down, trying to turn the faucet down a little bit and say, here, do these steps and you'll make money. And I did them. I made a trade plan back then, but I didn't follow it because I was, woohoo, let's make money. And we learned this strategy, and then we got into another strategy, then we got into futures, and we just spread ourselves. We were trying to be a jack of trade on everything. And suddenly that emotional pain started coming in because we weren't good at everything, and we were losing money here, we were losing money there. And remember yesterday I talked about be you, be who you are. And I reached the point where I said, you know what? All these strategies are great. I'm not knocking any of them. But here's the important thing. This is who I am. I'm this type of trader. This is my trade plan. This is who I am. And I'm going to be good at this. And maybe down the road I'll be able to do what you do. But right now, this is who I am. And so that's when I was able to accept the risk that, you know what? It was me. It was me trading all over the place that was causing me not to be as successful as I wanted to be. And I was able to say, this is my system, and whatever happens, happens. Whatever it is, it is. This is who I am, and this is where I want to be, and this is how I'm going to get there. So the market no longer became this emotional play, and I still participate in groups, and I hear but again, where's your trade plan? Where's your system? Are you working it? And I'm not saying that you don't have to tweak it, But we have to come to the acceptance of this is who we are, this is what we trade, and this is where I want to go. So I'll finish up by talking about when you accept that risk, and the market's no longer a place for emotional pain, and you're no longer talking with other people, talking about, oh, I wish I was making more, or this mentor, or that mentor, or this system, or that system. It's not the system, it's how you interact with that system. Is it your system? Have you personalized it? And so now the market is no longer a place of pain. It's a place of data. It's a place of information. And it's telling you where the opportunities are. Okay, so you guys know the routine. To get our iTunes podcast, which is the full version of the video, there's a link. Thanks for the feedback. And check out my blog as I'm putting stuff in there about trade plans for us to look at, talk together, give me some comments. And as always, trade at your own risk. I will see you guys tomorrow.